David, for joining CNBC, and congratulations on solid results. Net sales up 6% in the fourth quarter and beats across all key metrics. So investors are clearly happy. The share price up about 6% today. And your surgical business remaining the biggest component, but recording particular strength in the contact lenses division as well. Just talk me through some of the key highlights from these results as you see them.
Yeah, look, we had a really strong year across the board, really, and it was a very competitive year. So our international performance was a standout. I think we saw tremendous acceleration from our surgical business in Europe and in Asia, China in particular. And we saw really resilient work in our surgical business in the U.S. against a very competitive environment. Our vision care business in the U.S. was terrific, and our contact lens performance, certainly finishing the year, was a standout. So kind of across the board, I think our customers are responding to the new product flow that we have.
Now, looking at your 2025 guidance, you flagged further improvements across all key metrics and net sales growth of 6 to 8%. What makes you confident about the continued momentum going forward, especially as we see price growth sort of potentially easing as compared to previous years?
Yeah, good question. But what's really exciting about this particular year is it's a pivotal year for some breakthrough products. And we've got probably 7 products that we're going to be launching, 3 of which are already in the market. But this is a breakout year for us with what is a generational change in, for example, cataract surgery with our new phaco emulsification unit. So if you kind of step through the products that have been launched, almost in every category that we participate, we've got a new product. And that new product is really breakthrough in some meaningful way. So starting with glaucoma, where we've got a new laser that's really never been done before for SLT. It's a very exciting way. Instead of using eye drops, you can now use a laser as a first step in glaucoma therapy. If you go to cataract surgery, we're decreasing the time, increasing the safety, improving the throughput for the surgeon, and getting more patients to surgery faster. That's a really exciting opportunity for the health systems. If you look at our new IOL, which has really been advancing visual disturbances, there's a whole bunch of things that we're doing that are really advancing the science and really helping patients. So we're excited about all that.
And these are developments we can expect to see in 2025. I note in the earnings you point to some innovation coming through this year. So are those the types of things we can expect to see?
Indeed. And we've launched several of them now. We've got several coming. So May will be a big month for us for both our new intraocular lens upgrade and then also our phaco equipment. But even in the middle part of the year, we have a new drug for dry eye disease, which, again, we think is a real advance in certainly onset of action. And patients are going to be very pleased with that.
Now, looking into the US market in particular, I know through 2024 you pointed to some softness there, some slower market conditions and competitive pressures. Where are you seeing that sort of going in 2025? Do you see that continuing, or do you expect maybe some uptick there?
Well, I think largely the world was stable, but the U.S. was softer than the international markets. And the international markets, particularly led by China, was stronger for our business. And I think that is likely to continue. So I think we'll see a little bit more of a softer market in the U.S. in the surgical business. And I think what we'll see in the vision care business is a stable, normal market. And then international, I think we'll pick up for the other one. And as we wrap around the softness, maybe in the back half of the year, you'll see it come back to what I think has been an historical norm. So we expect a relatively normal year next year on market growth and market dynamics, but we'll see.
Now, this is, of course, the first year under a new US administration, and talk of tariffs has loomed large under President Donald Trump. We've heard companies, including in the healthcare sector, talking about creating so-called tariff task forces to deal with this uncertainty. Now, you're a Swiss-American company with operations in scores of different countries. How are you thinking about this potential threat? And if not a direct one, then how about the secondary implications of this on the macroeconomic environment?
Yeah, it's something we're paying very close attention to. It's obviously a topic that we're trying to figure out what the magnitude of it might be and then what we might do around it. I would say that we're in a very fortunate position. As a Swiss company, we've got manufacturing in most of the regions and where we develop products. So we are manufacturing for the U.S. in the U.S. We're manufacturing for Asia in Asia. We're manufacturing for Europe, principally in Europe. And so, I think from a direct tariff import-export idea of finished goods, we're in a pretty good place. We have some limited exposures, but that's really not where we see the major issue. If we saw an issue, it would likely be in suppliers and importing raw material, from some portion of our products, that might be located outside of the region that they're manufactured in. So again, we don't see a big exposure here, but it's a dynamic time.
Understood. And you already pointed to strength of international markets offsetting potentially some weakness in the US. Where do you see as the particular drivers in this regard, and what risk there do you see of macroeconomic implications too?
Yeah, well, I mean, the big one that everybody's going to talk about is China and how the consumer comes back, and that affects some of our business. We're principally not a consumer business. We're a little bit less sensitive to the consumer than that, but that still plays in the way in which patients may or may not pay for things like eye drops on their own. So, we're interested in what happens in China. I think more importantly, Japan is a big market for us. We watch that market very carefully, and Europe had a very, very strong year for us this last year. So we're hoping that continues. And so as long as we see, a little bit of a stronger Germany coming up, hopefully that'll help Europe in general. And overall, it's been pretty good for us. So we hope to see that again.
Now, you've spoken often about strong fundamentals driving your business. We're looking at the aging population, but also the proliferation of technology and the implications that is having on people's eyesight, the use of mobile phones, etc. Tell me a little bit more about this and how you see these growth drivers driving your business going forward.
Yeah, the macros are very favorable to us. As people age, they obviously need more eye care. And in the Western world, you really see that becoming very pronounced. And so actually, the largest problem that we're trying to solve right now is the lack of the capacity of the ophthalmology community, the optometry communities, to serve the amount of demand there is in these markets. So, we're working on efficiencies. We're working on throughput to be faster for surgeries, diagnostics to be quicker and more accurate, things that we can do to help patients get through the system faster, make it easier on the physicians who are treating them. That's, one of the main macros that we can take advantage of at some level. And at the same time, really help patients get to therapy. The second one that's really important is this epidemic of myopia. So nearsightedness, critical issue. 50% of the world's population is going to be nearsighted by 2050. We know that it's moving that way quickly. We're working on a lot of different ideas, not just refractive correction with a contact lens, but really interventions that might involve surgery, might involve lasers, could involve permanent improvements to those circumstances if we can get there. Lots of other dynamics that play out on this, but the big ones are those.
Yeah, certainly huge challenges to be addressed there. Now, speaking of technology, what ways are you potentially using new innovations to kind of drive the growth of your business, talking about maybe virtual reality or even AI?
Well, I mean, obviously everyone's talking about AI, and we are obviously very deeply in it. It involves, for us, everything from our consumer approach to how people are dealing with our products and arriving at our products, and also, very importantly, how we manufacture and run our business. And I would say we have a lot of activity in predictive engineering that keeps our lines running, making sure that we get a throughput that's been really exciting for us. I mentioned in the call today that our outputs are much higher now on our per line basis because of things like AI, where we're being able to predict when a line might go down, when we might need to do preventative maintenance in advance, so that our shutdown times are shorter or less frequent. That gives us longer runs, obviously lowers costs. So those are simple ideas, not simple in execution necessarily, but really important fundamentals that you're going to see run across the business in almost every sector. So there's almost nothing these days that we're trying to do that isn't involving some kind of machine learning, some kind of digitized enterprise idea.
Fascinating. And just finally, a question on M&A. Last year, Alcon completed its acquisition of Belkin Vision. Can we expect to see any further developments on the horizon in this regard?
We're always looking. We're fortunate to be one of the leaders in ophthalmology and eye care. Directionally, we see a lot of businesses and a lot of companies, and we like a lot of what we see out there. So I would say, we consistently say we're interested in these things that are $50 to $500 million. We'll continue on that path. We've done a number of them. We still believe that there's a lot out there. So I would say yes is a short answer to that question, but we're obviously thoughtful about what we do.